If you're an expat looking to invest in property in the UK, it's not as simple as just buying a buy-to-let. There's a few hidden costs and rules you need to be aware of before you start, but if done right, it's a brilliant way to build your wealth while living abroad. If you're new here, welcome. My name's James, and this channel is all about building your knowledge and understanding of property investment without gimmicks or unrealistic promises. I'm a co-founder and managing director of a property investment business called Freighter Property Partners, but this channel is all about your education. If you like the content, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. But let's get started. So firstly, why as an expat would you consider investing in the UK market? The first reason is the security and stability of the UK property market. Unlike other global property markets, the UK market is relatively predictable and consistently grows in line or better than inflation. Certain places in the country might not perform as well as they have, places like the Southeast and London, but if you target areas based on fundamentals, you can be confident on long-term prospects and long-term growth of your assets. The second reason is there's strong rental growth in the UK market. As a country, we don't have enough homes to meet the demand for rental properties, which means there's always a strong demand for any rental property that comes on the market. This means that you can be confident of renting your property out pretty quickly and consistently in the long term. It also means that your money will be an asset which is backed by the pound, and this is consistently a steady and safe currency to have your money in. This means that if you're based somewhere where maybe the currency isn't as stable, it gives you the security that you need that your money won't just disappear. And finally, it's probably a market you're quite familiar with. You understand how the property market works, you've lived here for a number of years during your life, so it gives you the confidence to be able to put your money into something that you know. Having said that, there are some challenges you will face as an expat not living in the UK that maybe someone living in the UK wouldn't have to deal with. The first thing is the increased stamp duty. If you're not classed as a UK resident, you'll have to pay an additional 2% surcharge when purchasing a property, even if you're buying through a limited company. This obviously means that your buying costs will be higher than what they would be if you were living in the country, but it's only an extra 2%, and if you're buying properties that aren't super expensive and in areas that are growing in value that you're going to hold for the long term, it's almost definitely still worth it. Make sure you've got enough cash for the deposit and the stamp duty that you're going to pay. As well as this, because you're not living in the UK, the interest rate on your mortgage is likely to be slightly higher. This could be anywhere from 0.5 to 1% higher than what it would be if you're in the UK. This means that you need to make sure that you've done all your numbers and you're confident that the property will still cash flow positively in the short term. Even if you're in the UK, you don't build your wealth through the cash flow of the asset, you build it through the asset growing in value over time, but you shouldn't be losing money every month. On top of this, you might need to put a slightly bigger deposit in than 25%. This isn't always the case, but because you're likely to have a slightly higher interest rate, it often makes sense for you to put a slightly bigger deposit in to make sure that everything cash flows positively and you're making profit each month. And the reason for both these reasons is because you have access to less lenders. Because you have access to less lenders, your interest rate is going to be higher on your mortgage, and because of that, it makes sense for a lot of international investors to put a slightly bigger deposit in. This might mean that you put in 30 or 35% rather than 25% that you would do if you were based in the UK. So what solutions do we have to these potential problems? The first is work with a specialist mortgage broker who understands the buy-to-let market and has worked with people based overseas in the past. This is because these brokers are going to give you the best opportunity to get the right mortgage for you at the best interest rate. If a mortgage broker doesn't work with overseas investors, or their main focus is residential property rather than investment property, they might not give you the right product for you. You could also look at setting up a UK limited company. This is very much standard practice in the modern day, and it also means that if you're going to buy 4 or more properties, you're going to really see the economies of scale. Having said that, everyone's situation is different, and if you don't have any plans on coming back to the UK and you don't have a UK income, it might not make sense to do so. So always speak to a specialist tax accountant before you make any decisions about how you're going to purchase your investment properties. As an overseas investor, you're also going to need to focus more on the fundamentals. Don't just focus on locations that you know, you need to follow what the data says and make sure you're into locations where there's a strong rental demand and improving fundamentals. This includes things where they're getting massive institutional investment, transport links are strong but improving, you've got massive employment, big universities and more. The final thing to do as an investor buying property in the UK is partner with quality people that know what they're doing to maximise the chance of your success. Because you're based overseas, you're not going to be able to do things like viewings. So partnering with the right people, that includes mortgage brokers, investment agents, tax accountants, letting letting agents and more, you're going to maximise the success of your property investment. As someone who works with UK expats on a regular basis within my business, Freighter Property Partners, I see quite a lot of the same mistakes from international investors. The first mistake is trying to self-manage properties. It doesn't make sense to try and manage the property yourself because you're not in the country, and the chances are you'll have a time difference. Appoint a good quality local letting agent who can manage the property and manage the relationship with the tenant to make sure that the property is as hands-off as possible. International investors often buy before considering currency fluctuations. So if you're planning on investing in property in the next few months, keep an eye on the currency and make sure that you're doing things at the right time for you. As well as this, investors that haven't done enough research won't be aware of the things like stamp duty, so make sure you've got enough cash to purchase the properties you're looking at with the increased level of stamp duty and additional fees. And the final mistake a lot of international investors make is waiting for the perfect time to invest in property. There's never going to be a perfect time to buy property. You just need to do it when you've got enough cash and when you've done enough research so you can benefit from the long-term prospects of property. You don't build your wealth overnight within property, especially as an overseas investor. You need to get into the right locations, leverage your investments using mortgages, and benefit from the assets appreciating over time and building your wealth steadily. So if you're an expat and you're about to buy a property in the UK, make sure you've done these 4 steps before purchasing a property. This includes decide your strategy. As an overseas investor, the most likely strategy that you're going to follow is good quality buy-to-lets. This is because it allows you to be a hands-off investor, benefit from the assets appreciating over time, and it won't give you too much to do while you're not in the country. Make sure you set up in the right way. Is it tax efficient for you to be buying in a limited company or in your personal name? And this might depend if you ever have plans on moving back to the UK. 3 is work with specialists. Make sure you're partnered with the right brokers, the right accountants and right investment agents or estate agents to purchase the right properties for you. Because you're not going to be able to do viewings or attend the property in person, you need to make sure that you can rely on the people that you're partnering with. And 4, set a clear goal. Why are you investing in property in the UK? What is this giving you the opportunity to do? And how are you going to get to your end goal? So to conclude, yes, it's a little bit more complex investing as an expat or someone based overseas into the UK market, but it's still very much worthwhile. Thousands of international investors purchase property in the UK every single year and benefit massively from the appreciating of the assets over time. If you know the rules and the steps you need to make as an international investor, you can maximize the success of your property portfolio. And if you're an expat looking to buy your first investment property, or maybe you already have a few and you're looking for a bit more support moving forward, then drop a comment or follow the link in the description to our website for a free consultation. But that's it for today's video, so thanks again for watching and I'll see you soon.